The Baby Who Changed Everything, a story of abandonment, love, and redemption. On July 18th, 2010, in the quiet town of Pine Haven, a baby girl entered the world under circumstances that stunned everyone in the delivery room. Weighing over 20 pounds, more than twice the size of an average newborn, she bore a massive tumor on her lower jaw that made every breath a struggle. Her parents, Lorraine and Gavin, were overwhelmed by what they saw. Paralyzed by fear and shock, they made an agonizing decision. Without holding her or giving her a name, they walked away from the hospital and never returned. The baby girl was left behind, nameless, alone, tethered to life by fragile breaths and medical machines. For 4 days, she was known only as Infant Girl Doe. But Margaret, a seasoned NICU nurse, refused to let her remain just a medical case. She saw something extraordinary in this child's eyes, an eerie calm, an ancient kind of strength. She gave her a name, Kinte, meaning great strength in an old dialect. It was more than just a name. It was a declaration of who this little girl already was. The NICU team became her surrogate family, taking turns singing lullabies, reading stories, and holding her tiny hands. Despite her pain and the enormous challenges she faced, Kinte remained remarkably calm. Her steady gaze seemed to reflect a will far greater than her size. When a tabloid ran the headline, "Giant Baby Stuns Doctors," it focused on her medical rarity, but missed the heartbreaking truth. With no legal guardians and no insurance, Kinte couldn't be transferred to the specialized surgical center that might save her life. Far away in New York City, Dr. Alfred Sorrentino, a leading pediatric surgeon, read about Kinte in a medical blog. Years earlier, Alfred had lost his own daughter Bella to a rare illness. When he saw Kinte's photo, he felt an echo of grief, but also a spark of purpose. Without hesitation, he flew to Pine Haven. Standing beside Kinte's incubator, he felt a pull he couldn't explain. She wasn't his daughter, but she was someone he needed to fight for. The NICU team shared Kinte's story online. Meet Kinte, the baby left behind but not forgotten. Within 24 hours, her story went viral. A photo of her defiant eyes, wide and watchful behind plastic tubing, swept across social media. Donations poured in. In just 1 week, nearly $200,000 was raised. Letters from children, paintings from classrooms, and handmade blankets from strangers filled the hospital. Top pediatric specialists volunteered their services, inspired by one little girl who refused to give up. For 6 months, Kinte battled to survive while growing stronger. Alfred made frequent visits, learning her expressions and preferences. He discovered she liked lullabies sung in whispers and relaxed when he read Goodnight Moon. When the tumor began threatening major arteries, they couldn't wait longer. After 6 tense hours of surgery, the massive tumor was removed. Against all odds, Kinte had survived. During recovery, as Alfred sat reading beside her bed, Kinte reached out and touched his hand. That gesture sealed a bond that transcended medicine. Margaret observed their connection. "She's calmer when you're near," she noted. Alfred admitted, "She reminds me of Bella. She gives me hope again." Margaret replied wisely, "Redemption isn't just about a single act. It's how you choose to live every day." When Child Services planned to place Kinte in foster care, Alfred made a life-changing decision. He would adopt her. After a lengthy legal process, the court granted him custody. On discharge day, Margaret placed Kinte into Alfred's arms and whispered, "She chose you too." Alfred told her, "You're going home." At his home in upstate New York, Alfred's life transformed. He painted Kinte's nursery yellow, adjusted his career, and embraced fatherhood. Kinte blossomed. By age 2, she declared red her favorite color. By 5, she laughed at her baby photos. "I look like a potato," Alfred replied, "the most amazing potato the world has ever seen." Swimming became Kinte's passion. In the water, she felt unburdened and strong. She joined the swim team and excelled. Alfred watched her glide through the pool, remembering the baby who once struggled to breathe. Challenges remained. Some children asked cruel questions, some adults stared, but Kinte met it all with quiet strength. "I was born different," she told a teammate, "but I didn't stay that way." At bedtime, she sometimes asked if people would stop seeing her as that headline. Alfred reassured her, "You don't have to be brave forever, just long enough to remember you already are." As she grew older, Kinte wondered about her birth parents. "Do you think they think about me?" "Maybe," Alfred said gently, "but they weren't ready to love you the way you deserved. That's not your fault. I don't hate them, she said. That's what makes you powerful, he replied. Years later, a journalist did a follow-up story. Kinte said something that resonated with everyone. My life began the day someone stayed. When asked what she wanted people to know, she said, I'm still growing. I still swim. I want to be a doctor. And there's more to every headline than you think. The story, The Girl Who Grew from a Headline into a Hero, went viral again. Letters poured in from original donors. One read, I didn't think you'd survive. I'm so glad I was wrong. Then came a letter with no return address. It was from Lorraine, her birth mother, who was dying and wanted to apologize. Alfred told Kinte about the letter. After thinking, she asked, Do you think I should go? That's your decision, Alfred said, but if you want to, I'll be there. They visited Lorraine in hospice, frail and tearful. She whispered, You're beautiful. I know, Kinte replied gently. I didn't know how to be a mother, Lorraine confessed. You were right about that, Kinte said truthfully but not unkindly. I thought I was broken, but it was me, not you. Kinte nodded. People who want to stay, stay. Before leaving, Kinte gave Lorraine a small painting, a shadowy woman reaching for a girl made of light. You already exist in my story, she said. Lorraine died 3 weeks later. When the call came, Kinte stood at the window overlooking the garden she and Alfred had built together. She wanted to be someone else, Kinte said softly. Maybe, for a few minutes, she was. You made that possible, Alfred said. I didn't do it for her. I did it for me. At 10, Kinte spoke at a university youth event. Confident and graceful, she began, My name is Kinte Soratino. 10 years ago, I was a headline, a 20-pound newborn with a tumor that nearly took my life. But that's not my whole story. I was left behind, but I wasn't forgotten. I survived because one person stayed. He didn't have to, but he did, and every day since, he's shown me what love looks like when it stays. Behind her, images showed her journey, from tiny NICU patient to vibrant young girl. Your story doesn't end with the worst thing that happens to you. Sometimes that's where everything truly begins. It's what comes after that gives it power. The audience erupted in applause. Backstage, Kinte ran into Alfred's arms. You were incredible, he whispered. Did you cry? She teased. Only a little, he admitted. That night by the fireplace, Kinte asked, What if you hadn't taken me home? I can't imagine a life without you, Alfred replied. Do you think people will always see me as the girl with the story? I think they'll see someone who earned her place in this world and made space for others. That's the kind of doctor I want to be. Not just someone who fixes things, but someone who stays. You already are, he smiled. Above them, Kinte's ceiling sparkled with handmade stars, each marking a chapter, a victory, a promise. They told a story no headline ever could. Kinte was no longer defined by how her life began. She was not a headline or statistic, but a life fully lived, a daughter deeply loved, a testament that strength isn't about how a story begins, it's about how it continues. Her journey from abandonment to belonging proves that sometimes the most profound families are the ones we choose. In a world focused on dramatic beginnings, Kinte's story reminds us that the real miracle isn't surviving the storm. It's learning to dance in the rain that follows. This is what happens when one person decides to stay. This is proof that our beginnings don't define our destinations, and sometimes the most extraordinary stories start with someone simply refusing to walk away.